work with.
Okay. So, were you aware of what the law stated at the time that you denied this?
I was aware of the district's policy in regards to the definition of critical days, and I was aware of that, and it said.
No, that's not what I asked. I said, are you aware of what the law stated?
I had an overview of the law, so I would say yes, because it goes along with what the district's policy is,
Well,
and
not
I did
necessarily.
review that.
Not necessarily. The district's policies are oftentimes even, I remember the grievance process for years. I even spoke with Canada and J. Jerome Harris, all the old superintendents. So when are y'all going to make your policy in compliance with the state law? Well, they have 4 levels, and they said you have 3 days to file a grievance, and you really have 10 days. And so the policies in Atlanta have many times been in violation of the state law. Now, so let me ask.
I followed the district's policy.
No. I mean, Brenda can help you answer, but you got to answer my question, okay? Y'all don't need to whisper to it, Brenda. Okay, y'all still
Don't
going to
argue now.
Well, I'm just saying that it's really inappropriate for board members to try to assist the respondent to help them respond. That board members are supposed to be impartial jurors in this process. Maybe I'm weird, but I don't expect board members to try to assist the respondent to respond.
All I asked you to do is not to argue with the witness. I think that's within the purview of
you're
what
right.
legal officers should be doing.
All I'm asking to be responded. Now, I'm going to ask you, can you direct her to respond to my question, not to go on a soliloquy about board policies? Okay, here's the question here. Here's the question here.
Were you familiar with Georgia law, any of the Georgia statutes on that date in January 5 of this year?
I was familiar. I can't say that I could quote it verbatim, but I was familiar.
Okay, and you had a course in study of Georgia laws like this?
In graduate school, yes, we did study educational law.
In Georgia educational law?
It was educational law.
No, this is Georgia educational law.
No, I was just saying it was educational law, and I
Well,
would have to go back to my notes and see if we
where
referenced.
did you go to graduate school? And I can tell you probably not you studied Georgia law. Where did you go to graduate school to get your?
It was outside of Georgia.
Where? I asked you where, and say it's outside
It was
Georgia.
in Colorado.
I object to these questions that he's asking.
There's been an objection on that.
But first of all,
I think it's irrelevant, and I think that he
It is
can ask her,
irrelevant.
and
It's
he
very
can,
relevant.
excuse me, Mr. Trotter, he can ask her if she's familiar with a particular law, and then she can answer that, but I feel like this is all irrelevant. Thank you.
well, it always becomes irrelevant when an administrator doesn't want to answer a simple question. Where did you get your leadership training for administration? You said we get narrowed it down to a state. It's over in Colorado somewhere. Where was it?
It was at Jones International University. And
Okay.
I'll answer the question.
Jones International University. I'm not a betting man. Some people might think I don't ever go gambler, but I don't hardly ever bet. But if I were a betting man, then I'd place $1,000 against a nickel that they didn't teach you anything.
Dr. Trotter, that's not a question, sir.
No, it is.
It is not a question.
He's a hostile witness. What I want to do is.
Please ask a question.
Here's how you do that. You learn
And
this
you
in
can
law
lead-
school.
you can
and
lead.
At the end, you say, "Don't you?" I said, "Don't you? Don't you believe that I would be a good gambler if I put $1,000 against a nickel that Jones International School or University, whatever it's called in Colorado, did not teach you Georgia law? Did they?" So that's how you make it legal, by saying, "Did they?" That's a good cross-examination question. And the state of Georgia, the Supreme Court says that you have a right to a sifting and thorough cross. And I intend on doing a sifting and thorough cross right here, okay? If you had more sifting and more thorough cross-examinations, when Beverly Hall's administration was here, you wouldn't have had the mess you had. I promise you.
Dr. Trotter, that's not appropriate either. That's argument. It's irrelevant. I'm trying to give you a leeway.
Okay, you are.
I'm trying to give you leeway, sir.
Okay, now, at Jones
I do not think the witness was taught Georgia law in her graduate school. I do not.
Do you agree with the hearing officer? He says he doesn't think you were taught Georgia law.
As I stated before, I would have to check my notes to be specific as far as every Georgia law, but I know that it was covered. But it may not have been as thorough as you are today, but I know that it was covered.
I think I could go, if they have a website, if you find a website about leadership, and I bet you. And
You're arguing with the witness.
Okay, well, all right. Well, now, let me put it this way. I was appointed by Central Michigan University, didn't have time to do anything to teach advanced school law.
Imperative that she was there that day.
Imperative, essential.
It was essential.
For the school operations. It was, in other words, I mean, the word essential is pretty strong word, okay? I mean, imperative, essential. That means well, let me ask you this. Let me just break it down. She didn't show up, did she?
No, she did not.
Did the school fall apart on Niskey Lake out there? I mean, did y'all collapse that day?
No, the school did not fall apart. However, we did have to make adjustments to the schedule, but no, it didn't fall apart.
Adjustments. So we've gone from being essential to making like adjustments. So like a chiropractor doesn't adjust day when Miss Abdul was not there, correct?
A substitute?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go back to the saying, let me just clarify. The school did not miss a beat that day, correct?
The school did not fall apart that day, that is correct.
Okay, we're making progress. You don't look back on that day, January 26th, and say, oh, it was a horrible day, Ms. Abdullah did not show up that day, and the essential operation of the school was just not, it wasn't hitting on all pistons. You don't say that, do you?
No.
No, okay, so in other words, it's a fairly smooth day, correct?
It was a regular school, it was a school day.
I didn't ask you that.
It was a school day. I cannot remember specifically January the 26th, just like I can't remember January the 25th.
Okay, well, we're making progress.
But
In other
it was
words,
a school day, and the things that happened in a middle school, it was nothing for us to make the news on, but it was a regular school day.
we're making progress. There was nothing out of the ordinary that day, right?
And it was a regular school day.
Last question. Your decision to deny Ms. Abdullah her right under 851 law to have one of her personal leave days for personal reasons, that was really just an arbitrary or capricious decision, wasn't it?
No, my decision to deny that personal leave was based on all of the information that I had on January the 5th. Remember, there were other staff members who were already scheduled out of the building when I made that decision on January the 5th. So it was not arbitrary.
So they need to change this law then and say if it's going to violate the convenience.
That's argumentative, sir.
No, I'm going to ask a question. Say, do you think they need to change this law and say if it's going to be inconvenient for the principal, then they can deny it?
That's argument.
No, I asked her a question.
You're asking this witness as to whether or not the legislature should change a statute of state code or something?
I can ask her opinion. I didn't ask her as an expert. I just asked her opinion. I didn't ask her as a non-psychiatrist about a psychological question. I simply asked her opinion. She's a well-educated educator. You know, do you think they should change this and make it real clear for us that if it's simply inconvenient, the administrator can deny the teacher?
I don't think that statement should be put into anything just on the convenience of the school administrator. No, I don't think they should put that.
Okay, that's enough.